Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes. I'm delighted I'm joined for a double denim double with Chris McElwain. We did it. We got there. Ida. Uppy da. Adam Ida comes on, scores the winner, writes his name into Celtic folklore if he hadn't done so already. We're watching the celebrations. It's absolutely sensational, Chris. Joe Hart's in tears. Ida, I mean, wow. Every single time he got the ball, he was protecting it near the end. He's written his name into folklore. We were talking during the week, Chris, about wee Joe Miller 35 years ago this week, writing his name into the Celtic history books, winning us the Scottish Cup. Adam Ida's just done it. I mean, the discussion has to be had. I've been saying it for a week. Sign this boy. Yeah. Unbelievable, mate. What did you make of that? What a rubbish game, by the way. Can I just say, terrible game. But the big man won it for us.
Not a vintage performance, not a vintage cup tie by any means. Really scrappy. You know, I think the referees and the officials, I think they only get one decision right the whole game, which was the goal rightly chalked off. But, you know, leaving that aside, like let's focus on what's important. We've scrutinised Brendan the whole season for his substitutions, for his team selection, for his tactics. We've scrutinised Celtic, you know, as a whole for their game management, not seeing games out, you know, particularly when we go a goal up. And we've scrutinised some of the signings, you know, for not exactly, you know, setting the world on fire. Well, there's two of them combining that we've not even, you know, signed permanently yet, and I emphasise yet because I want the two of them signed up now after that. Bernardo's shot. I'm looking at Joe Hart. Bernardo's shot.
Look at the emotion, Chris.
Oh, man.
Look at that emotion, mate.
But Bernardo's shot, brilliant. And it's one of these things, like, you need someone to take a risk. You need someone to show a bit of impetus and show a bit of incentive and a bit of innovation. Bernardo, he picked up that ball. You could tell there was only one thing in his mind, that was hit the shot. And look, you know I was going to score. You know I was going to score when you do that. But there's a chance that you get the rebound. There's a chance that you've got Kyogo or Ida or whoever it might be in that box to score. And that's what you need Ida for, is just being in that right place at that right time to put that ball in the net. And that has won us the double today. So massive credit to Brendan Rodgers for his substitutions, for the way he had the game managed. I thought was great, particularly as, you know, some players, as we spoke about, weren't having the best first half and even into the early stages of the second half. I think he made the right changes at the right time. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not sure I said that when he took Kyogo off at the time, so I'll be brutally honest. But Ida came on, and as you say, it wasn't just the goal, it was post the goal. You had holding the ball up at the corner, you had him holding off players, he was getting back, he was defending. Bernardo was doing a bit of that. Matt O'Reilly, who's just ran about for the whole 90 minutes, and he's on the deck and he's still winning the ball in his own box to try and get it forward. That was a performance of champions. That was a performance of the best team throughout the season. Ups and downs, granted, building up leads, losing it. We built it up again. We go over the line, and now we've won the cup. I'm delighted. I couldn't be happier. There's a lot of relief mixed in with that, I'll be honest, because I think that was a tough game to watch. The boys have done it, and congratulations to them, each and every one. That was brilliant.
Are you going to go and get a bag of cans? We've got Brendan back. Why not? Listen, I'm telling you, Chris, these are the days. I mean, coming into this game, I never try to be Nostradamus with predictions and everything, but what you can do in a game like today is you can look at the 4 games that we played against Rangers. Now, I know there's plenty of Celtic fans don't rate this Rangers side. I know coming into the game, Martin O'Neill had said it's the worst Rangers side he's seen. Well, it's not the worst Rangers side I've seen, right? No. But what I can tell you about, you know, the differences between that Rangers team and the Celtic team today is togetherness, right? We worked our socks off for each other. Alistair Johnson is a warrior. Scales probably going to get stick in the comment section, but I tell you what, he never hides. He absolutely never hides, Chris. He's always there, willing to get stuck back in. And it wasn't a vintage performance. Cameron Carter-Vickers was outstanding. You know, Greg Taylor, who battled his way through. Nothing was good to watch. It wasn't a good game to watch. But we've got togetherness, right? And that's what Brendan Rodgers has really brought to the side, more so in the second half of the season. Now, I'm not having a dig at the players per se that came in the summer, but I said it when it happened. Why bring in 9 new players to a squad that's already successful, already treble winners. Because, it can completely knock that, not the togetherness as such, but the whole dynamic of the squad. We've got a lot of players in there that are not getting games, they're unhappy, etc. And I think that throughout the campaign, and January was important, January was massively important, he's brought a togetherness to this football side. And you've seen it today. Okay, not a vintage game. Let's roll up the sleeves, battle for each other, win every single ball. Look at Joe Hartman. That's incredible.
Honestly, everything you just said is getting exemplified by what he's doing at the moment. He's kissing the badge. You can see what it means to him. I was watching the players there. They know they've been through a game here, and they know they've been through a season. I
think your wee guy's still celebrating, mate.
He's celebrating, yeah, he's happy. He's got the full kit on, so he's celebrating.
Shin guards, everything.
Oh, yeah, honestly. I don't think you believe it when that goal went in. Me and my dad in unison probably just about shattered the windows. But do you know what? This is...
Is that Adamida, King of Kings? Is that what he's shouting? Brilliant.
Do you know what? What I said earlier on, before the game, as a fan, you've got to appreciate when this happens, right? Because there might become a point where this, we don't have this sort of season or we don't have this sort of success. You have to appreciate it when it comes, because these are moments you'll look back on and you'll remember and you'll think, I was there. I'm so glad I got to see this team. I'm so glad I got to see this team that showed so much resilience and so much character and so much fight throughout the season. And make no mistake, right? Everybody points to the fact that we were several points ahead when Michael Beale was Rangers manager, and they were a pretty poor team at that point. Let's be honest. That's why they took action and changed their manager. And then Clement comes in and galvanises them a little bit, and they start up in their form a wee bit, and we dip. Our form dips. Look, that happens to the best teams. It happens to the best teams. It happens to the best clubs. It doesn't matter. It does happen. But for me, when you see how we finished the season, how we got our players back and they were all playing at the top of the game, really working for each other, I think that sums up a real sense of character with this team. They're not the best Celtic team I've ever seen, or the best Celtic squad I've ever seen. I'll say that. We've been fortunate enough to see some tremendous teams and some tremendous players and some tremendous legends. And by the way, some of these guys may eventually fall into that category. But there are areas we need to strengthen going forward if we're going to build on this success. We don't want to go back to the last summer's recruitment and say, okay, 9 new players. We don't need that. Let's clear out some of the guys who are not contributing, with the best will in the world. Let's try and retain some of the top players. I don't know if it's realistic to keep Matt O'Reilly. I don't think he did his transfer chances any harm today with his performance.
Different type of performance today, wasn't it? Wasn't it a
different type,
goals? Yep.
A mature, intelligent performance, I would say. But what we need to do is build on this. This has now laid a foundation. It's set a benchmark, onwards and upwards. Right? We've got two trophies this season. Next season, let's go for 3. Right? Sounds greedy. Sounds entitled. Frankly, I don't care. Let's go and make recruitment count. Let's back the manager. Let's give them the support they need financially, behind the scenes, whatever it takes, and let's take the club forward. Let's think a little bit longer term. Let's take the club forward. What we can't do is say, okay, we'll make a great profit this summer, and then we're taking chances on project players again. I don't want to see that. I really don't. I want to see Brendan build an identity around this Celtic squad and this Celtic team, and I want it to be an identity built on success.
Yeah, absolutely. We will no doubt talk at great length throughout the pre-season. We'll be covering all the pre-season games. We'll be covering any Euro game that involves a Celtic interest. We will be watching them live as we're doing right now. And obviously we'll have other shows on there because we're starting to record a new one next week. But you're right, Chris, you're spot on. We got away with one this season. I do. At the end of the campaign, we've played all our football now. I feel that we got away with one. And what I mean by that is we lost big players, big influential players in the summer. We also lost a couple of other players from that treble-winning side earlier on in the season where we won the treble. So, Yakimakis, Juranovic, Moy, Starfelt and Jota. And then we come into this season, we lose Abada. We lost a lot of quality from the treble-winning side, and we didn't replace it like for like. But what then happened, of course, in the January, we're all kind of gearing ourselves up. And it was Big John Hughes kept saying to us, there's not going to be a magic wand in January. He kept saying it.
We did.
And, you know, we were hoping we would go out there and buy and strengthen where we had to strengthen. Brendan Rodgers, somebody said at half-time, he needs to go and earn his crust. I think he did it. I think he did it in January. I think he did it since January. You know, if you were to go on the, even look at Adam Ida's signing tweet from the club, go and have a look at it right now and read the comments. Just read the comments. And I don't think it was anything to do with the player as such. It was just what we were looking to try and bring into the football club was quality. And, you know, we got a guy who wasn't getting a game for Norwich. People keep saying, oh, he was a third choice striker at Norwich. Well, I'll tell you something, if that's what the third choice striker's doing, I don't know who's ahead of him, because he's been superb since he came in. He got our league championship race back on track because he was the man who stepped up against Hibs at Easter Road. He stepped up against Motherwell at Fir Park. He comes on against Rangers at Ibrox. He puts us 3-2 ahead after we'd lost a 2-0 lead. He steps up in the semi-final of this tournament whilst injured, and he takes a penalty kick. It comes on at Rugby Park, historically a very difficult place for Brendan Rodgers to go against a team that Brendan Rodgers has always found it difficult to beat. And he runs the show, gets open goal. It comes on today and he's written his name into folklore. Listen, I don't know exactly what the transfer fee is. I've heard the same figures as everybody else. But if it's £5 or £6 million, you pay the money. You bring the player to Celtic Park permanently. Absolutely no doubt about it, Chris.
I know it's really emotional after the game and you're, you know, the adrenaline's going. But I would say...
All the officials seem a bit disappointed. I don't know why.
Yeah, notice that, yeah. Sorry, lads. But you tried your best.
They seem awfully angry to be getting their medal.
Absolutely. Damn it, better luck next year. No, look, I know that you're caught up in the heat at the moment, and you're emotional, and getting a goal right at the end of the game there, where it was looking a wee bit tense, as much as we hate to say that. But I think for me, if you're talking about 5 million, 6 million, with the players we potentially got ready to go out the door, I'm talking about your Mikey Johnsons potentially. I'm talking about maybe some of the guys that we're going to ship out. That would more than cover, I think, the fee for Ida, and potentially up to Bernardo as well. And look, if Brendan Rodgers can continue getting a tune out of these guys, then sign them, right? You bring guys on loan so you can assess them, so you can see what impact they've made. Ida has absolutely made an impact, and I think to an extent Bernardo has as well. I've always had question marks over him, and where I saw him fitting in. And I wouldn't like to see him brought in at the expense of O'Reilly. I think O'Reilly's going to be so impossible to replace if he does go on him. At this point, I don't even want to think about that. But I think there are two players there that, over the course, certainly of the more recent months in the season, Brendan Rodgers has shown that he can get a tune out of them. He can take them up to a level where they will certainly assist us domestically and potentially even make the step up to the European campaign as well. So yeah, for me, I'm the same camp as you. I think it's a no-brainer with Ida and Bernardo. I do think there are changes required. Looking at Bruni and Lennon.
Look at Bruni and Neil Lennon. Seriously.
You talk about legends, eh? But yeah, how often do we do it, right? How often have we done it as a club? We've brought a player in, right? And we've judged them on where they came from and what they were doing at the time, rather than think about what they could come in and do with us. We did it with Larson. We've done it with Sutton, who, Chelsea was it was discarded. Let's be honest. He thought he was a has-been. We've done it with Aaron Moy, as an example. Craig Gordon. He's a busted.
Here it comes, Joe Hart. Joe Hart and Callum McGregor getting the Scottish Cup.
Look at that. Fantastic.
There you go.
Fantastic. Oh, mate. Then just that, the character and the togetherness you're talking about. So yeah. I think, we need to maybe take a step back and give players some patience and actually see what they do when they come to us. Forget the reputation of being third choice striker at Norwich. Judge him on what he does when he comes to us, right? Trust the manager, trust the process. I know the process has been flawed and we've analysed that to death. But right now it looks as though that process might be changing. It looks as though that might be getting a bit of tweaking, a bit of adjustment. It looks as though Rodgers is starting to put his stamp on that, and the hope is that in the recruitment we'll see evidence of that in the summer. But I think let's just judge the guys for what they do on the park. I'm looking at Keel go there. He's a guy that you want at your club, right?
See the thing with Kyogo, let me know in the comment section if you found this yourself, right? See if ever, like, even with my wee boy and his mates, and if I meet like friends, kids who support Celtic, I always ask the question, who's your favourite player? See, kids, they all say Kyogo. They all say Kyogo. They all love him. He's just got this lovable vibe about him, right? As well as being an absolute hero on the park. I was kind of gutted he never got his 20th goal today.
I was the same, yeah. I was questioning actually when he came off. I was thinking, oh no, don't take him off. But actually, that's why he's a manager and I'm not, right? So
we weren't creating clean cut chances, right? We dominated possession. Absolutely. There's Louis Palmer doing the old John Terry. He's running about with the Scottish Cup there, full kit. Never came on. But it was one of the ones where we weren't creating chance after chance as we have done against Rangers this season. Very tight. They knew we could pick them apart. But coming into the game, Chris, we said it was going to be tight. Every game this season has been, none more so than today. But if we're going to be talking about the winning goal, we've also got to speak about the strike from Bernardo.
Yes.
I think when Bernardo came on, he was brilliant. I know it was something of a cameo, but more people are on the fence about whether or not we go for him. And I know it's going to be another kind of 6 million. But I'm of the view when it comes to Bernardo, something you've already touched on. He's in the building. We know what we need to develop. We know what he needs to improve on. He knows his teammates. He knows the manager. He knows the expectations of this football club. And you can look at some of the performances in the Champions League. You can look at the game where he scores the winning goal, as it turned out against Rangers at Celtic Park, the 2-1 game. You can look at his performance today. And again, this isn't just on the back of winning a trophy and the emotions that come with it. I have been saying, buy the two of them. That's your starting point. Bring the both of them in. I don't see it as being as big an outlay as the Carter Vickers and Jota transfers, because that was 2 years ago. And the inflation in normal terms obviously changes, but in football terms, it's even higher. So I would sign both players. I think that they are mainstays in the squad. I'm not saying they're starting 11 players just yet, but I think they've shown enough. What's your take on Bernardo?
I think he's a player who's only going to improve. And I think you're right. There's something to be said about continuity when you're at a football club and you're developing. He's made contributions sporadically, but they've been meaningful contributions. And you've got to think about also consider his relatively limited opportunities as well, right? I think now that we've got the double, it feels nice to say that actually. Now that we've done the double, now that the double is that I'm going to stop. Look, now that we've got the double over the line, I think you get the chance to look back at a player like Bernardo and think, how much of a part did he play? But you also start to think forward and think, okay, look, this is a guy that's now been part of a relatively tough title race. Sometimes made tough by ourselves, sometimes by other factors. But he's been part of a tough title race. He's part of this squad, which at the moment, as you've said, seems to have a real sense of togetherness, a real determination, and to get a bit of guts. And I think having that continuity and that consistency across seasons, I think, can only be a good thing. You're right. He'll know now what it means to be a winner domestically. Certainly, he's got experience in Europe. We might bring in players who've never had that potentially, or have not yet. Played at that level. I think bringing him in would be the first signs. Bringing him in permanently would be the first signs of a statement of intent from the board. Which and I know there's a few guys on the comments who made points over the season about let's not happy clap, let's not give the board an excuse not to invest. I agree with that to an extent. I think now the fact we're successful, we've won the title, we've won the cup. But this is still the point where we should be looking at, okay, board, over to you, show us what you're prepared to do. Mm-hmm. Show us what you're prepared to do in terms of backing a manager. And maybe the best statement of intent is saying, okay, two guys there who have come in and made a difference, and will probably go on to make, hopefully, a difference over coming season if we give them the opportunity, get them signed. There you go, Brendan. There's two in the bag straight away. Two guys two guys you work with, two guys you can rely on. Then you want to see them go on top of that and say, okay, right, pretty good squad there. We might lose one or two of our top players. How do we make a statement of intent to say we're going to reinforce you to a level that makes you even better than you were this season, right? Yeah. It's not about maintaining the status quo. It's about going up. Incrementally going up.
The way I see it, Chris, is we've got the manager, right? There's been so many doubts. Absolutely. There's people in the comments right here, right now, saying, I wanted him sacked a few months ago. I get all that, right? But he's shown that when the chips were down and he had to manage and he had to tap into every single last ounce that these players had, he did it. You know, and I'm talking about, you're looking at guys like Joe Hart, bit of a point to prove when he came to Celtic. It's his final season. You can tap into his state of mind. You can. There's Liam Scales getting the Scottish Cup. He was part of one of the biggest embarrassing results in Scottish Cup history last season, with Aberdeen getting knocked out by Darvel, right? He was part of that. And there he is going up and getting that Scottish Cup. There's another guy that has got something to prove. Then you tap into the guys that know this club inside out. You know, they know the fabric of this football club, like Callum McGregor. You've got a guy there in Jamesy Forrest. There was rumours in January we were going to let him go. We're going to let James Forrest go. Look what he's done since he came back into the side. And then you've got the quality of O'Reilly. And I'm going to say it, his quality's been enhanced. I don't know if it's his last game in the hoops today. I hope it's not. But Brendan Rodgers has enhanced that player. He's enhanced himself as well. Look at the togetherness of the group of Celtic players and staff in front of the fans. We've got the manager. We've got the togetherness. We've got the money in the bank, right? Big Eda's got that Scottish Cup in his hands right now.
And a tear in his eye, actually.
And a tear in his eye. I mean, you imagine how proud his family are. This means something to that player. This isn't just a globe-trotting footballer that, you know, touches base with a club every 2 or 3 years. This is something that means the world to that boy. You know, it wasn't just a photo opportunity to show us the tattoo and all that. Adam Ida, this is his dream coming true in full Technicolor. And he was as cool as a cucumber when that ball ricocheted, came back out, and oh my God, folklore. He's written himself into folklore. There was a moment at full time. I go back to one of the worst games of football I've ever seen, but one of the most important games of football I was ever at. Celtic beat Airdrie in the Scottish Cup final 1995, right? And there's a great picture of Tommy Burns and Paul McStay embracing after the full-time whistle. Now, some do it there will be able to find it, and they'll be able to compare the one I've just seen there, Brendan Rodgers and Callum McGregor, embracing in the same way. I mean, I can't overemphasise the togetherness that we've got in this team and how important that is, because that's what's got us over the line, Chris.
No, and do you know, there's another element to that. As we saw that brilliant visual of all the players and actually the staff and everyone lined up there. It looked like a full squad and some of the staff lined up in front of the supporters at Hampden, and the supporters standing one and all unison, appreciating, you know, what they've done over the course of this season and certainly over today's game. I think one of the biggest achievements that the manager and actually his players have, you know, one of the greatest achievements they've made this season is bringing that alignment between the club and the fans back together, because it's been fractured this season for various reasons. And I'm not going to bring the board down or, you know, praise or criticise them for any reason. I want this to be focused purely on what it means to be a Celtic fan and what it is to be a Celtic player and you know, and a part of that Celtic that Celtic coaching team and the manager. They're aligned. You can see it. I can actually see it from that one visual. You know, he's brought them back on side and back in line. There is always going to be a fractious relationship between the powers behind the scenes, and that's just the nature of it, right? And you know, me and you have got our opinion about that, and so do all the Acsom guys, and so do all the fans. That's a right as fans to do that. But I just love that element of all the players lined up there, saluting the fans for all the support they've given, but the fans given a chance to show their appreciation and say, okay, we're with you boys, let's go and do it. Forget all the politics, forget all the background nonsense. That's Celtic for me. It's between those boys on the pitch, and indeed this season the girls as well. Let's be fair, and those fans in that stadium.
Yeah, and we've finally got an answer to the question, where is Kobayashi? Well, he's standing there in a suit on the park. There was also another beautiful moment. I keep asking, where's Benji Siegrist? Where he was, I think, the first guy to go up to Joe Hart. Yeah. And there was just this coming together between, you know, the goalkeepers union. I'm surprised Jerry Taylor was in amongst it as well. The goalkeepers union.
I think he played more games than Siegrist this season, didn't he?
He has. He has, strangely enough. Right, here you go. Here's a wee fun fact for everybody in the comments. Acsom's Jerry Taylor has played more minutes under Brendan Rodgers than Benjamin Siegrist. There you go. There's one for all the old the status.
And you know, just a couple of points about Jerry. Just where we're being a bit sentimental about it. You know, I met Jerry prior to coming on to Acsom, and you know, he was one of the biggest supporters of me coming on Acsom. I had some interactions with him. Jerry was missing this today because him and his partner are off to get their gender reveal for their upcoming, you know, they've got a baby on the way. I'm not going to reveal any details. I've not heard anything, and I would not want to spoil that at all. That's their business. But I just want to say to Jerry, I hope him and his good lady Megan, I hope everything went well. I hope they've got some cracking news there. I'm sure they have. And actually, we managed to get Jerry's show across the line as well. Power of lots of folks that I'm sure watch the show and follow us on social media. Honestly, guys, what an effort to do that, because that meant a massive amount to Jerry and his family and all the people involved in that. And I know we tried to play our part, but you know, that just shows the power of this support and the power of, you know, the people that watch this show and interact with all the various contributors. And I'm just a really small newbie part of that. But yeah, brilliant. So congratulations, Jerry and Megan. I hope they went well, and looking forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, no pressure, Jerry, but if it's a boy, you're going to have to call him Adam now. But you're right. You put it. Jerry came onto Acsom, and you know, you could see the personality and the energy. But what we always try and do with anybody who's involved in the team is, you know, we've got Jim Orr putting on plays, you've got Jerry putting on shows, you've got Kevin Graham with his poetry and releasing books and all that kind of stuff, and releasing music as well. And we try and support them. Jerry was very honest to say, listen, I need to sell X amount of tickets this week, or the thing gets pulled. The Celtic fan base got behind them, made it happen. The show will go on. Talking of the show going on, a few other, there's Brendan Rodgers, he's got the Scottish Cup. Just a moment to talk about Brendan, right?
Yeah.
I've been called a Brendan fanboy most of the season. Not a problem with that. I've been called worse. But I just think that there were certain moments of this season where other managers might have broken, but he just has this incredible sense of self-belief, Chris, right? Some people think self-belief can creep into arrogance with some certain people. You know, I just think it's self-belief. You know, that comment, I'll see you back here in May. For anybody who's not happy with the appointment, I'll see you back here in May. And here he is, a double winner in his first season, albeit a difficult season, and he's a double winner. And, you know, he's proven all the doubters wrong. I mean, people go on about the European campaign. I think if you take away the away tie against Atletico Madrid, there was some elements of that campaign that we can be positive about. Not many, right? But in terms of getting a win at home, the performance against Atletico Madrid at home, the fact that the Lazio game was a bootlace away from us taking a 2-1 lead and we lose the game. So I think that, you know, in terms of Brendan Rodgers, his managerial tenure at this club first time round was near perfect. And that's why it was so hard when he left and the way that he left. But he's back. He's got 2 trophies in the cabinet. He's got the big one, which is the league, which unlocks, obviously, the Champions League money for next season. And I'll tell you something else. We were talking before we got kicked off today around the honours. You know, it became a thing in Scottish football to start counting trophies and all that kind of stuff. So we played into that a little bit, and we had a look at the facts and the figures. And now the Derby record, if you want to look at the accumulation of Rangers and their predecessors, they've won 169 games in this Derby, and the previous Derby and Celtic have won 169. In terms of the trophy count, because they wanted to start counting them, so we'll play the game, 118 each. So, you know, the world's most successful club, I think you're going to have to get the sign people out. There's going to be boards at the side of Ibrox tomorrow, alongside the Old Firm boards, next to the skips. You have to throw them all out. As Brian Clough says, take all your trophies, chuck them in the skip, because Celtic have got just as many. And also, we got the big one back in 67 on this day in 1967. Let's get some of the comments, because it's not about you and me today, my man.
Well, absolutely not.
The Northern Soul, get in. Sometimes less is
Enough
more.
said.
Less is more, right? You're obviously into Northern Soul. Go and have a wee look at the YouTube channel. Some of the earlier videos, we did a few fully produced videos in and around the Northern Soul scene. And so go and have a look. They've been pretty popular over the years. And I also interviewed Stuart Cosgrove, who's an absolute brainiac when it comes to that subject. So fill your boots. Ida, get them signed, says Henry Dale. I've got one eye on the I love the celebrations. You know, you could compile right? All the celebrations onto a DVD or a YouTube reel, and I would watch them. I love it. I just love it. Always go back to 1988, the centenary Scottish Cup win, where we sealed the double. And Tommy Burns is in tears and he's sitting near the corner flag and he's got the base of the Scottish Cup. And he's wearing the Nike football boots with their luminous yellow swoosh. And you remember all these wee things. And you're watching it today and the emotion never changes, you know. And you're looking at these footballers and you're thinking, it actually means something to you. We're not just cobbled together and it's guys that are going to be here, there and everywhere next season. I keep going on about Liam Scales because, you know, this time last year he was part of the worst Scottish Cup result of all time with Darvel. And look at him now, he's a Scottish Cup winner. And they've done as much as anybody in that game as well, Chris.
Absolutely. I wouldn't criticise a single player today. It's not the right time. I think we've got shows where we can maybe scrutinise performances, and we've done enough of it over the season. Look, at the end of the day, Brendan Rodgers put his trust in Liam Scales over the course of this season. Some of it was down to circumstance, I think. But you know what? When circumstances present you with an opportunity, it's then the onus is then on the player to take that opportunity and do what he did. Look, is he the perfect defender? No, he's not. Is he the Maldini type player that we'd love to see? No, he's not. There was a comment made at halftime. I think it was Stephen Sloan that made it. You know, a regular listener. He said Scales is like a 1980s defender, and I thought that's so apt. He is. He's like an old-fashioned 1980s defender, and I think if you were playing that style of football, he'd be probably considered one of the best defenders in the country. You know, because he plays that way. There are elements of his game that I think he has now got the opportunity to improve. So he's got to go and put the hard work in the training pitch and show Brendan that he's got the right to retain that spot next to Carter. Recruitment might change that, right? Brendan might say, no, I'm looking for someone just to up a level. But Scales, for me, has earned his place in this double title winning side. He earned the right to play today. I think for the most part, he did really well. I think you saw elements of where he needs to release the ball quicker. He doesn't necessarily have or apply the football knowledge to make a quick pass or reactive pass. But at the same time, you saw the best of him. You saw him making last-ditch tackles. You saw him tracking back. You saw him using a bit of his physicality. So, and ultimately, we came away with that game with a clean sheet. I'm not even going to mention a goal. It was disallowed. Screw it. It happened. It was the right decision. Let's move on. But the point is that Liam Scales is part of a cup-winning team, which has kept a clean sheet, and we've beaten our greatest rivals. So, you know,
Liam Scales, for me, we will be in the market for a centre half. Absolutely no doubt about it. But I've said this before. You know, in terms of a squad, and there's certain elements of that squad, Chris, that you need players who are not going to play every week, right? Yeah. And you heard Brendan Rodgers last week talking about Tony Ralston after the St Mirren game. And you need guys like him, guys who probably thought their career was over. Every single minute they play on that pitch is almost a stolen minute because they thought their career was gone at Celtic, right? Yeah. And Tony Ralston had that phenomenal kind of, it was like not a breakthrough season, because your breakthrough season's when you make your debut. It was more of a breakout season, you know? And Ralston had that in Ange Postecoglou's first season at Celtic. And Liam Scales has had it in Brendan Rodgers' first season back. And these guys, for me, are absolutely vital to have in and around your squad. I think that, you know, they're massive, especially if there's a turnover of players. You know, we might get a centre-half next season and only have him for a year or 2 years if he's a success. So you want them to be as good as possible. And behind those guys that come and go and that churn of players, you need the constant. And I think the constant is guys like, you know, Scalesy and Tony Ralston at right back, and maybe Greg Taylor at left back, because I think that, again, we're going to be looking at that left-hand side. We're going to be looking to strengthen that left-hand side. But I think they're vital. They're vital to a squad, right? Maybe not what you would want in your starting 11, your strongest 11, but they're vital when it comes to a squad. And it is a squad game. If you're going to be competing in 3 tournaments and in Europe, more European games next season than before, then you're going to need a real core squad, probably of 18. Our squad's probably been smaller than we needed this season in terms of the players that we use. Obviously, we've got a lot of bodies, but most of them are surplus. Most of them are not playing many games. So, yeah, absolutely. I think that when you look at some of these guys, it's just great to see that they're embracing the success because they have earned it. Well over 500. But I understand loads of folk are at the game, in the pub, and also watching the celebrations. And you might be tuning in after the event, by which time maybe I've got my voice back. You're not wrong, says Big Man changed my mind, sign him. And I think a lot of people are saying the same as well regarding Adam Ida. Hail, hail, Brendan Rodgers, a double, as you were. So, I mean, if you look at that, right, so all the stats that are coming out, Brendan Rodgers has been at Celtic on 2 different occasions. He has lost 1 cup game in the entire time. It was this season against Killie. He's lost 1 cup game, Chris. I'll just repeat, that's unbelievable record, right? He's only ever lost 1 game against Rangers. Every time he's completed a league campaign, he's won it. I mean, we've got the manager. The manager's there. What we didn't have behind him, I think, was a good summer. And, you know, because of Adam Ida's success, we can't say that it was a bad winter. Yes, I wanted more. I think we ran on an absolute shoestring squad. If Greg Taylor got injured, that could have been drastic. If Joe Hart had got injured, that could have been drastic, right? So I think there were certain areas I was not happy about. But we brought in another winger and we brought in a centre forward. I'd keep the centre forward. You know, I would keep the centre forward and move on if necessary. Absolutely. You know, I think he's proven himself. Jamie, Bernardo was tremendous when he came on. He needs signed too. Now, we're a wee bit later than usual, and I don't know if your wee guy's still singing the Adam Ida song down the stairs, Chris. But
grandparents have silenced them for the moment, but yeah, he might well be.
He might be. I'm going to run through a few more comments, and we're going to let everybody go away and celebrate by your chosen method. I'm not sure what that entails. Let us know in the comments. How are you going to celebrate and where this evening? The Flying Haggis might have a dram and a bit of haggis. I don't know. The board will let us down. It's not even in doubt. And he says that with a wee sad face. Right, okay, I get why you're saying it. They've done it before. But what I was saying during the week when I was having this discussion, the team that's in place at the moment is changing, right? The 2 heads of department, recruitment and scouting, have left the building. They'll be replaced. Things will be changing. Now, if Ange Postecoglou, as what we've been told, was the man who wanted Matt Lawwell in as head of recruitment, then you're going to give the current manager, Brendan Rodgers, that same power. You know, when it comes to bringing somebody in, you've got to say to the gaffer, who do you want to work with? Who do you work well with? And then they come in. And then you can work a lot better if the recruitment team, the scouting team, and the football department are all working in unison to bring in the talent and the quality that we need. So I understand your doubt, is what I'm saying, but I'm trying to be positive. And also, even though I'm critical of the way we've done business, just go back 2 seasons ago, 2 pre-seasons ago, we brought in Carter Vickers and Jota on permanent deals. Now, you're not saying that lacked ambition, right? Because that for me at the time was a surprise. We did recruit, we did find Matt O'Reilly. We have found quality all over the globe. We've done it before. I think we can do it again, and we can write off the last, probably 3 out of the last 4 transfer windows, which weren't what they should have been. David Darcy, hail, hail, Acsom, have a great day. Bernardo, fair play, made something happen. Yes, he did. Ida, forever in our hearts now. I know. Right. We've all read the history books. We've all seen the videos, right? In 25, in 50, in 100 years, I don't know what the formats are going to be, but they'll be talking about Celtic history. This game's up there. Adam Ida is in the history books. I love all that. Stephen Kennedy, Rodgers, out of all previous Celtic managers, has the best record out of them against Rangers. Incredible. In fact, I think he's got the best record in the fixture of any manager of Celtic or Rangers. He's got the best record in the fixture. An unbelievable start. Stephen Broadley, I was for sacking Brett. Fair play for admitting it. A few people were a few months ago. And here he is, walking around that Hampden turf with that beautiful smile, wearing that grey suit like no one else can wear a grey suit. Paul McLean, Celtic took 2 shots today at goal. See what happens when you do. That's a good point, right? Because Bernardo taking that shot, it was just, you know, one of the ones where it was like speculative. Anything can happen.
You've got to, sometimes you've just got to take the chance, right? This is what I mean. You need guys in the team who are prepared to take the game by the scruff of the neck and say, I'm going to take a chance here because it will make something happen. Right, you can't wait for the Hollywood's pass or the clear-cut opening. You've got, sometimes you just got to say, I've got a line of sight here. I'm just going to hit it and see what happens. And sure enough, he forced the keeper into a save, and that save went straight into the path of a hungry, well-positioned, sharp striker. And, you know, the rest is history.
Right, I've been asking people what they're going to do for the rest of the night. I will probably spend the rest of the night rewatching the celebrations, listening to the interviews.
I might be the same. I was getting accusations at half-time saying, "Is Chris had a couple?" And I have to say, Paul John makes it very clear that we do not drink during the post, so I always adhere to that, right? I always adhere to that. However, tonight I might have a little double. I'm just saying.
Well, why not, says I, why not? Listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to everybody, I'm going to invite you to the new show next week. We are planning to record it on Wednesday. All going well. Obviously, what we're doing here is we've got a venue. It's taken a long time for us to secure that. Looking really forward to the tie-in with Barra's Art and Design, who, as of Monday, you will notice, will be the official sponsors of a Celtic State of Mind. It's a tremendous venue in the heart of the Barras in Glasgow. And we're going to be filming a Celtic State of Mind's brand new, fully produced, multi-camera show. I was going to say it's very polished, but I'll be on it. So I don't know if that takes a wee bit of the shine off it. I will be presenting the show, which is named This is Acsom, with the subtitle From Barrafield to the Barralands. This is Acsom. We're going to be around the table. We're going to be around the bar. It's going to be me, a couple of Acsom contributors, and a few other faces that you may recognise from the world of Celtic, one of whom will be an ex-player. We're going to bring all the biggest names in the world of Celtic onto the show. We're going to be talking about the show, getting anecdotal experiences from the ex-players as well, just to take us into the dressing room, onto the training park, all this kind of thing. I mean, if I've got a goalie there, I can ask them about Joe Hart and get the real intricacies of what it takes to play at this level. And that's what we're going to do. It's called This is Acsom. It's going to be aired on a Friday night on the Acsom channel. It's going to be unlike anything you've seen, probably in the world of Scottish football, but certainly in the world of Celtic media. And it's going to be on our channel. So don't miss an episode. Subscribe. It's all free. Give us a thumbs up. Go and enjoy yourself tonight. Whatever your choice of poison is, I'm going to go for a little bit of honey, I think, for the throat.
I think you might need it.
Before I go anywhere else.
Just one last word, Paul John, because I know your throat's on. Everybody would desperate to get away for the dinner, and I'm probably getting into trouble for not getting down and getting my dinner at the moment. That's the Sunday dinner with the folks. I just want to say thanks to not only yourself, Paul John, but all the guys in the Acsom team behind the scenes, because Acsom is absolutely complete newbie. One of the guys on the chat and was given the opportunity to come into this team and throughout this season, and I'm so pleased and slightly relieved at the fact that we won the title and able to celebrate with the team and as part of the team. But even the guys on the chat who give me the occasional pelt are probably justified, but by and large they've always had my back and have always been really supportive of coming on here. So yeah, just thank you to you guys and team, but also the guys in the chat, and I'm sure I'll be getting pelters for saying that now as well. But they are absolutely brilliant, brilliant people to a person, and yeah, I'm really just very, very privileged to be on here. So thank you again.
Well, it's a double denim double. That's what it is. And I think that we all promised to wear double denim.
It's fitting, right?
If we won it. Therefore, I'm going to have to dig out the old denim jacket. I'm pretty sure there's still one in the wardrobe there. I'll dust it down and we'll get the double denim on for next season. Absolutely. I might even wear it on Wednesday for the show.
Depending how the season goes, might have triple denim on next year. I might have to change the moniker.
Let's hope so. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's an absolute pleasure. If you're watching live, brilliant. Thanks for the comments. If not, thanks for tuning in after the event, wherever you are in the world, because this club does special things to you. It really does. It brings people together. And we started off talking about some of the horrible, ugly scenes. And I'm not talking about the contributors in Glasgow earlier on today. I hope every one of you have avoided that, and you can enjoy a celebratory evening amongst the like-minded. That's what I would say. So thank you all for tuning in. Join us again on Monday. We'll be back as always. Thank you to Chris McElwain for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.
Thank you, everyone.